Okay, we did it. First things first, the bottom center of the screen says that we have completed 53 games in 2024 and 500 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now obsolete. We've now beaten 54 games in 2024 and 501 since we started doing this in 2020. Let's go. All right, let's talk about the ups and downs of Kirby's Dream Land 2. So, right off the gate, what I would want to start with is that it is a clear, Kirby's Dream Land 2 is a clear improvement on the original Kirby's Dream Land. There is no doubt about it. While the graphics aren't really much better because they're dealing with mobile tech and it was the 80s, or the 90s rather, there was a lot more going on mechanic-wise. Like, in the original Dreamland, I guess people forget that Kirby couldn't inhabit... He could swallow enemies, but he couldn't take their powers. That was something that was added in Kirby's Adventure. And so that's integrated in here, and it's... I mean, that makes all the difference. Kirby's Dreamland is pretty basic bitch because of that, because it doesn't have that staple, you know? So the fact that they integrated that into this... Clear improvement. The game was significantly harder. I died 119 times. In Kirby's Dream Land 1, I only died 20 times. Kirby's Dream Land's pretty easy. A little too easy. Actually, a little too easy, actually, because you can kind of just fly over everything. They designed this game better with like more corridors and enemies that could get up higher so that you can't just fly over every level, although you could still do that a little bit. And the boss fights were way better, way harder, and way better, way more interesting. And the addition of, I guess, mounts, for lack of a better word, is really cool. Something that not even Adventure had. So you have a hamster, a fish, and an owl. Those are the only three I know of, but who knows, maybe there was another secret one or something. But having those was really fun, and what made it really even cooler... So there's one that's obviously specializes in land, one in air, and one in sea. But what made it even cooler is that the abilities that you can get from the enemies, they have variations, like alternate fire modes when you have the bird. So if you have like the blade, when you're on the bird, it does 3 big blades out in every direction. When you're the fish, it does like one big giant wave blade. So that was cool. I loved that. That was maybe my favorite thing about the whole game. So when I really liked how they've improved on the formula. And the boss fights were a lot of fun. I think critique-wise, you know, the graphics are an issue, but it's the Game Boy, so I'm not going to hold that against it. So there's some things that are a little too pixelated sometimes, and it's kind of hard to understand what's going on sometimes, but not that often. Considering the technology that they had at the time, they did a pretty good job. The only other thing that bothered me a lot was some of the hitboxes are weird, which is pretty standard for games of the time, especially on mobile consoles, where you'd swing your umbrella and it would just go right through the enemy, or something would get near enough to hit you but not actually hit you, and then you would take damage. There was some of that. But not too much. I would say, you know, when I think about 2D platformers of the time, I think about Mario, I think about Sonic, I think about Kirby, and I think about Mega Man, and I think about Ninja Gaiden. And, you know, I think that some of those games I hate. I hate the Ninja Gaiden original trilogy. It's hard in all the wrong ways. You can go back and listen to my reviews on that if you want. I hate those games. I think they're objectively bad. I think Sonic games back then are overrated. And I think that Mario is god tier. There really is something about Mario games. It's like going to McDonald's. Every time you go there, you're going to get a stellar experience. Everything's consistent. Everything works the way that it should, you know. So it's like Mario's like the McDonald's of video game mascots. But It really is true with their old platformers. So I don't think it's as good as that. Especially considering it's on the Game Boy and it's just dumbed down a little bit. It's not Mario, but I think it's better than Ninja Gaiden because it's not nearly as broken. It's barely broken at all. It's really not broken at all. There's just a little bit of weirdness with the hitboxes, and that's about it. I think it's better than Sonic too. I think this is better than any of the Sonic games I've played. Kirby's Dream Land 2 is better than any Sonic game. Sonic, I still don't like. It's all about speed, but then it penalizes you for going fast because you run into stuff. You know, it's just like the only safe way to play Sonic is to go slow, which isn't fun and doesn't make any sense. Anyway, don't get me started on Sonic. Now, is it as interesting to me as Mega Man? Maybe the original Mega Man. I think it's in that zone somewhere. I think it's like a lot better. To me, it's a lot better than Sonic or Ninja Gaiden. But not as good as Mario. Not even close. And depends on the Mega Man game, because Mega Man actually has a big swing in quality, I think. But the Kirby games have all been in that area where they're like pretty good, you know. Kirby's pretty good. I'm a Kirby fan. I think it's good. I think it's, especially considering when it came out, the fact that it's as complex as it is when it comes to combat is impressive. Most games like that, not even Mario, are like that. You either jump on things, or you spin into things, or you shoot them with your cannon, or whatever. This is all over the place with combat. It's crazy, actually. And I love that. I love that. The platforming is not as clean or as satisfying as something like Mario, but outside of that, and the world's not really as imaginative as something like Mario 3 or something, but they do a great job for a Game Boy game. Now it's a late stage Game Boy game. I think this came out in 95, so that's later, but still, it's solid. Kirby's solid. I've liked every Kirby game so far, and I don't know if this is my favorite one yet. I'll have to think about it. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't remember where I ranked. Let me just look real quick. I don't remember where I ranked Kirby's Dream Course. But I'm not really talking about that game because that's a whole different kind of game. So Dreamland was down there a ways. Kirby's Adventure was quite a bit higher. Dream Course is my favorite one so far. But that's a whole different kind of thing. So I'm not really talking about that. I think it might be my favorite. I think it might be my favorite Kirby game. Because of how much variety with the combat. I mean, that really changes things. It mixes things up, keeps them fresh. And now you have these mounts that change things even more, make things even more complex. There's permutations on permutations when it comes to the combat. I love that. So overall, I really enjoyed it. Is it going to rank in the top 100? No. No, of course not. It's not Mario, and even my favorite Mario games don't rank as high as some of the other games that I like genres better. You know, 2D platformer is a genre that I do enjoy, but it's not something that's going to end up in the top 10, you know, top 100 usually even. So, but I did really enjoy it. I liked it, and I'm excited to see where Kirby goes from here. I think there's some random game up next. There's some other game by Kirby that came out in 1995. There are 3 Kirby games that came out in 1995. One was Kirby's Avalanche, which I tried and gave up on because that game is hard. One is Kirby's Dream Land 2. And the other one is Kirby's Block Ball. So I guess that's what we'll try next, assuming it's a game that can be beaten. But that's what's next. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I had fun with it. So it was a good time. All right, this is the point in the video where I would normally say, Kirby's Dream Land, it's been fun, but we're now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. But this is on the Game Boy Switch Online thing, so we're not going to delete it. There's no point in doing so. I don't even know if you can. So we will just say, Kirby's Dream Land 2, it's been a blast. Thank you for existing, and I appreciate you.